What's up, traders? Red day today. I was gonna go ahead and post the uncut version of the trades, but unfortunately, it was over 2 hours long, so I decided against it. I'm gonna just go ahead and recap them, and we'll go from there. Really, kind of a crap day altogether. I started with UPST. I mean, all these trades today were just kind of annoying. But yeah, anyways, UPST. We zoom in. You'll see pretty decent move into that previous resistance from the day prior, which was 2040. Took a starter there, went a little higher. We had a take profit order at 2017, and as you can see, it got to 2019 twice. We were actually on the bid at 2017. It just never filled down there. Obviously, it didn't even get to 2018. That was a little frustrating. Went a little higher. Started to come back down again, started to bounce again at that 2019 area. So I actually ended up taking some off there. It went back up, and this is where the trade kind of got messed up. So took some off at 2024 as it was moving its way back up. As it started to go back up, I was going to use this previous candle as a stop. So I actually had my stop at 35, but then I decided to add those shares back. And when I did, it gave us a quick drop back down to 2011, came back up, took those shares back off. And before I could get my order out again at 2035, it just started shooting right up to it. So I actually took it off at 33. It went right to 34. I just assumed it was going to go up to 35 because it basically went from 11 all the way to 34 pretty quickly, like this candle. Like we took our profit, changed to the next candle and kept going. And I ended up just taking it off. It went right to 34 again, which was the high of this candle, not 35, and then just dumped. So pretty sad about that one, but yeah, that's how that played out. IMMP, this was our second trade. Another frustrating one. Pretty decent move here on some volume. And we ended up starting this at 314. Just looking for the 3 retest and maybe to come back down through and retest this area here at 290. But right after we got in, this thing just shot up to 354. Now, I had just put a take profit out at 303. And so in my montage, it was set to 303. It tried to halt at 354, but then it stopped. It actually went below to like 340s or so, and like 348, 349. I tried to hit it for another 100 shares, but it said my order was too far away. Because I still had my the price at 303 from where I had put my take profit order out when I entered it down here. So I had 200 shares down here at 313, was looking for 303 just for the quick 11 cents, just trying to kind of basically scalp the retest of the whole dollar there. But it decided to go crazy. So tried to add the shares up there right around 350, didn't get the add, and then it shot right back down. And then it started to kind of hover in this area. Then I started messing with it, trying to add, looking for it to drop, still trying to get down to that 290 area, and it just didn't want to do it. So ended up kind of scaling out of this thing for basically no gain, but it did essentially put us up around that $50 on the day. Then, as I'm basically kind of doing everything on the back end for the video, I was in Adobe Premiere looking to get all that set up, and BHC comes along. As you can see, it was at 1230. It's 1236 is when we finally started it. And yeah, have no pride in showing this chart as I broke a lot of rules while trading it. But as you can see, started this at 726. It did come down to like 711 or something, 712. And I thought about just taking it off there and kind of being done with it because you could kind of tell that algos were messing around with this. And then pretty much right after I didn't take it off, it jumped all the way up to 764. And I was like, I want a little bit more if I'm going to add. But it actually came all the way back down, I think from like 764 to like 730s or something, and then back up all in the same 2-minute candle. And then this, so essentially I added after it had already made the pullback that I would have been looking for, like an idiot. So it gets up to in the 70s, and I was like, all right, in the 70s, I'll look to get the ad. It goes up to like 76, I want to say it was. I don't remember exactly. But as it was coming back down, I hit it at 769, and essentially it didn't come down at all after that. Went back up, actually went up to 810, started to come back down, and I hit it again for the 200. So I did a 112. and the 2 was not really spaced out like it should have been. Should have been waiting for up over 8 for that 2 add, because now if it does want to go back through 8 and start to do exactly what it did, it's going to put me in a tough spot, which is exactly what it did. So as we zoom in here, you're going to see I actually took some off, and then I actually added it back, and then I actually ended up I want to say I can't I can scroll and check here. This was the 1242. So I took 400 off at 826, which was the green arrow. Then I added 400 back at 822 as it was coming back down. So I don't know where this red arrow comes in. So okay, so actually underneath, yeah, so underneath this green arrow is another green arrow where I took 400 off and then added the 400 back again. Okay, so that's what happened there. So I was really like basically saying this is going to be the top or it's not. I'm going to add and then cut it if it's not good. And as you can see, I did it again. I believe this was actually when it went highs on this candle. I believe it stopped me out for my max loss at $300, which was actually like 340 whatever because of my trades on the IMMP and Upstart. I then went into my risk control and changed it, and I basically was like, okay, it looks like that's going to be the top. I'm just going to risk another $100 here. I got back in, and as it started to try to come down a little bit, and then immediately shot back up, stopped me out, just that quick. This was actually 800 shares. So I took 800 shares on this red candle, and obviously it only had to go up what 8 cents, not even 10, yeah, 10 cents, so 12 cents. So I got in at 830. It stopped me out at 845. I actually got some slippage on that. So I lost $120 on it. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it one more time. So I actually bought or sold another 800 shares right here. Shoots up, stops me out those 800 shares. I'm now down $520, and literally it dumps. It just straight up dumped. I had to walk away. I came back. I came back like a minute later and it was still going down. I actually tried to halt down at 735. So it went from the highs where I had 800 shares to now where, I mean, that would have it pretty much instantly dropped to like this 760. And that's kind of when I started walking away because I couldn't watch it anymore. But then when I came back, I saw it tried to halt. It didn't. Tried to go a little bit lower, and it started to come back up, and just FOMOing at this point, emotionally trading. I got long 200 saying, like that was a pretty sharp drop, maybe we'll move higher, cool. Sold those 200 here for a decent little gain. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try it short because it looked like it was trying to reject 8. Jump in 200, add 200 as it goes through 8 after I told myself I'm going to cut at 8. Again, emotional trading at its best. And then I decided to try to short even more up here, which was, what candle was this? 1254. It is. So 400. Yeah. So I ended up in 800 again, and it automatically covered my 800 here. Or no. Yeah, 248. So yeah, 800. But then after it covered me, I ended up getting back in. I went in and raised my risk again. Now, keep in mind, after this one, we were down to 500 again because I hadn't changed that. I went in and changed it to 600 and basically said, this is it. If I lose 600, I'm done. Because that's what my max loss was anyway. When I was saying I would give myself 2 losses, I'm not trying to justify here. I'm just telling you what was going through my head in the moment. And I really do need to change it so that I have to like have my wife as the only person that can change it for me or something, because I've done this, I think 2 or 3 times now, and it's all been in afternoon trading when I've done this, but I digress. Anyways, I get back in, we end up making most of it back. We were down 520 at the top, and we ended up down 236.69, as you can see in the P&L window there. But as it was kind of coming down here, it went into a news halt. And so we had to sit through a news halt. The news that came out was saying that what I thought was bad news. Let me just read it to you real quick. It says, where'd it go? Of course, now there's a bunch of other stuff. Here it is. The U.S. District Court upholds final judgment for their drug that prevents FDA approval of their new drug application until 2029. So how I read that is they tried to get FDA approval for their drug, and they were like, no, you're not getting it, but you can't reapply until 2029. So to me, that sounds like pretty bad news. So I actually put orders out for my 200 shares that I had left here down at 620. My average was 780, which is why I stopped out where I did, because I was basically stopping out break even there. And I was just hoping that, the bad news that I was reading was going to maybe have this thing open up down towards like yesterday's highs or something like that. Unfortunately, it didn't do the normal like T1, T2, T3. It just went T1. And then like once Charlie from Benzinga announced the news, it was like 30 seconds later, it just opened. There was no warning that it was going to open. It just opened. So that was kind of odd in itself, but it just started going up. It just started kind of making its way up. It did reject at 770. And I was like, all right, well, my average is 780. I'm just going to use that as my stop. And it just kept going. So I ended up getting out. It actually went all the way to the highs, and it kind of trickled down from there. But I don't know. I sounds like bad news that you can't get FDA approval or even apply to get FDA approval for another 6 years. But whatever. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, ended up being a crap day. It was a smaller day to begin with. Wasn't really getting good trades on Upstart, IMMP. Those didn't really just work like I would have wanted them to. And we ended up fighting BHC and breaking a lot of rules in the process. So definitely some lessons to learn there. I definitely need to take a step. I already changed it back to 300, but I think I need to take that next step in not allowing myself to change it during the day, because my emotions definitely get the best of me. And 12 o'clock, that rule has to go back into effect. I was just looking at the stats for that. And let me pull them up real quick. I am from 12 o'clock until closing. My win percentage is 65.91% with a profit factor of 0.42. From 9 o'clock, which 9:30, because I don't really trade pre-market, from 9:30 till 12 o'clock, my win percentage is 84.57 with a profit factor of 1.1. Now, that's not great, like the profit factor and everything, but that's just for this year, which has been just crap as it anyways. But it just goes to prove that I'm making money in the morning where I should be trading the most anyway, which is what I try to do. And I keep telling myself not to trade after 12 o'clock, because you get these news plays that are volume out of nowhere. And when you get a volume out of nowhere on a news play, it's puts the stock into price discovery mode. And like I was trying to say on BHC in the Discord, we don't know if that price discovery is going to be 7 or 11 or 20. We don't know. We don't know where people think this should be valued based off of the news that came out, right? So at that point, all you can do is try to play a reaction. But how often in the morning do you see companies with green candles just like one after another, after another, after another, with a lot of volume like that? Usually at some point you get some sort of a break and some sort of a pullback. But a lot of these news plays, you get these algos in there. You get just people that are buying out of pure FOMO based off the news. It all happens, and you get these crazy moves. And like I said, if you don't know what the news is, what if it was a buyout up at 840 and you're scaling into this thing and then it just goes sideways at 840? I've done that on tickers before, like not knowing it was a buyout. It's sure the news can matter, but just the afternoon, just dealing with the news in general is just not, it doesn't work for me in the afternoons. I don't get it. But yeah, stats don't lie. That's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Always appreciate the support. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.